right, everybody. Welcome back to the
Black
Multiverse
Multiverse
Theory
Theory
Podcast.
Podcast.
The Black Multiverse Theory Podcast is where hosts Nigel and Nilo explore current events through an Afro Canadian lens. In shout out, we catch up with the community, creating a space for connection. The scroll dives into social media, current events, and celebrity news, always actual, not always factual. On the screen, we share our latest watch list, while in our ears explores the sounds shaping our world. The podcast culminates with an uplifting lifting message, hoping to leave you listeners empowered. Thanks for tuning in for insightful analysis and vibrant perspective on the Black experience in today's world.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Our audience is so expressive. I do appreciate them.
Very much so.
Our in studio, live studio audience.
Yeah, they really know how to keep things calm in here. It's real good.
Oh, Kabi said, okay, fair enough. Okay, ready for your shout outs?
Yeah. So this week we are definitely shouting out all the people from last week that we saw.
Okay.
And from last Tuesday all the way till this Tuesday. So I have a special shout out goes to my children. All four of them. I do have four children for those of you who don't know. And I had a job that was close to the house, and they came by and helped me with that job. We got soaking wet. We got muddy.
Sounds like a good time.
And we just had a great time. So shout out to them. Shout out to Mama Zita, my mom, who is one of my biggest fans, if not the biggest.
Your mom's the biggest fan.
And literally on the show every week, always tuning in to check us out. Mm-hmm. So, and then also condolences out to the Williams family, which is my family, who has lost one of our patriarchs, Uncle Ken.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Who we are now just kind of dealing with the situation and getting things all backed up. So it's good. What about you?
Big shout out to my family who are watching this. Big shout out to Kijo. Kijo is our friend who the other day said, Nilo, I watched the Black Multiverse Theory podcast the other day, and it's really good. Like, it's a really good show. And I appreciate the shock in her voice. And at the same time, I appreciate you all for being here for the quality of show that we have. And of course, thanks and what's up to Uncle Mario, who was the one who was like, keep it moving, girl.
Yeah.
Show's too slow.
He said that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Back in the day, he was like, he felt like things dragged on too quickly. He wanted to go faster.
He's not wrong.
He's from New York, so it makes sense too. The pace is different.
Things gotta go. Gotta go.
Yeah, I think we got it though.
Yep. So we're gonna be making lots of changes and coming through. We do appreciate all you techions who are out there. A techion is a person who follows the Black Multiverse theory. So I really appreciate you guys. From day one, the day one squad that comes through, we get quite a few people who watch after the fact. So those people who watch after the fact, and you're listing here, so shout outs to you.
Do we have to pay Arlo licensing to like remix that song? That should be a part of our podcast.
Sorry, what are you talking about?
The day one song that we sang on the air last year.
We just sang a song. It's a cover.
I was about to sing it again.
It's a cover.
Oh, it is a cover?
Once you sing it and you say who did it, it's a cover.
Oh, we can re-sing it, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which we did.
No, I mean not from last week, but I'm saying I want day ones to be like a section, like a button I press and it plays a little piece of the song.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pay him for that. So
that's what I was asking.
Yeah, pretty much. If you're trying to do that, but that's
okay.
Something we'll have to figure out later.
Love it. Okay, let's move it on. We're going to talk about first thing in the local portion. We're moving on to the scroll.
Scroll.
And in this local portion of scroll, we've got crispy mechanics.
Yeah, so this week in Edmonton, over a Manning Drive on the north side there, behind the Lowe's or the Rona Plus, it is now. It's not a Lowe's anymore, it's a Rona Plus. There is a spot where people have storage facilities and storage trucks and different things there. One of the people who has a storage truck over there is Tall Man from Paradise Grill.
Oh.
And that whole area got caught on fire as some housing challenged people started a fire to keep warm during the snowfall that we had recently, and it got out of hand and burnt down the mechanic shop, George the mechanic.
Oh no. Is Tall Man's things okay?
I don't know. I haven't been able to check on him yet, but I will.
Okay.
I will
It's
check
on the
on him.
list. It's on the list.
Yeah. So that area is usually around there. Also, I have also another friend by the name of Armando, and Armando's shop is right next to George's shop. He also has a little mechanic shop there, so I'll have to check on him as well. But it looks like the entire place burnt down to the ground.
Oh no.
George the mechanic, he lost a bunch of his tools, and there was a vehicle in the garage that his personal truck, pickup truck that he loves, that he doesn't drive for a certain time. He kind of keeps it there like a storage thing, and
that just shows you. I just watched something the other day that was like, you never know what's gonna happen when. Enjoy your stuff.
Yeah, you gotta enjoy your stuff while you have it.
Don't worry about saving it.
Definitely have it. Also, when you are doing stuff for other people, when you do work, also remember that you got to be up and honest and do your stuff that you got to do, because sometimes things happen and you better be on the right side. I'm not saying that's George, but I'm saying just anybody who in that type of scenario, you might want to just, keep it above board. That's all I'm saying.
On the up and up.
Mm.
Well, I hope you business owners had some business owner insurance for those spaces. I can imagine that would be an absolute nightmare.
It is. It's tough.
Okay. That was also what part of Edmonton is that? That's North Edmonton?
Yeah, Manning? That's what I said. That was in Manning. Yeah, okay. That's what I mentioned.
Cool. Shoppers proposed class action lawsuit. So there's a class action lawsuit that's been filed against Shoppers Drug Mart on behalf of their franchisees. The franchisees are saying that Shoppers is pushing them to have actually, they really said since Loblaws has taken over, Loblaws is pushing Shoppers to have to do these how do you call it, like these benchmarks. Okay. Like, oh, you have to have a certain amount of Medi checks, and you have to have a certain amount of whatever. Okay. So because they're making them do it, this is actually detracting from patient care. And the pharmacists are saying that they aren't able to, that it can be a danger to the patients because they have these other goals that don't have anything to do with patient care and are pressuring and coming down from Loblaws. They said since Loblaws bought the companies when they can see it happening. Right. And this is a series of franchisees, and also with Loblaws, once you push back and question, they terminated the franchisees' ability to keep their franchises. Wow. So what they're saying is that because of Loblaws, they're not able to speak out and talk about this and how these business practices are essentially a danger to the health of the patients. Now, the professional pharmacy group or what have you, they came out and they were like, they didn't say anything. They were like not talking to anybody in particular. but we don't support business practices that put patient care at risk. So they said it, but they didn't say it, kind of a thing, in terms of like actually responding to the situation. So the lawsuit has not been certified yet. It has just been proposed. It's what is considered proposed at this point. And then once it's certified is once that's when they decide that yeah, I can go forward. So
The funny thing,
Loblaws, we're watching
the funny
you.
thing about that particular story, I had COVID. Well, not COVID. I got sick just like a couple months ago. Not even. Yeah, about a couple months ago, and I
Mhm.
got sick. And actually, right after February, so March, I got sick, and I went to Shoppers Drug Mart, a bunch of them. I went to the north ones, north. I went downtown. I went south side. I'm looking for a COVID test, and all they had were expired COVID tests. And that's all they had. They didn't have a single COVID test that you could take it home and then figure out, okay, am I sick? Am I not sick or
They
whatever? And so this is kind of what they're talking about. And the pharmacist that I went to at the time was like, yeah, well, what do you expect? Shoppers is trying to do their best, but it's not Shoppers. Like they had to get these in through Loblaws to get this thing going.
right.
And they have not replenished them. Nobody's gotten any. Nobody's ordered any new ones. They're all expired. So that's one of the things that's crazy.
Well, um, yeah, yeah. That's all I could say. I
Yeah.
have things that I want to say, but I can't necessarily say because it's not everything is safe to say. But Loblaws, we're watching you.
That's wild. Not everything is safe to say. Okay.
Loblaws is on, much like everybody else, to be honest with you, who's in this abusive power position. It's time. Um,
Okay. Well, we have the
the
next thing
King
up.
Corso family.
Yeah. The King Corsos that died the other day, they mauled an 11-year-old child. And so they were put down, two of them put down after numerous times of being told that you are dangerous and that you're having a dangerous moment with your dogs. You got to do something about it. You train the dogs, whatever. The dogs then mauled a guest that was at their house, which was an 11-year-old child, and they got put down. Not even a week after they got put down, there was another pit bull on the premises of the house
Oh
with
my
no
gosh.
collar, just walking around the
The compound?
walking around the compound. You all right over there?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So,
What?
yeah,
What are you doing?
I was gonna ask you the same thing. So, anyways, yeah. So we're here with this pit bull walking around, looking menacing on the front driveway,
They called the authorities
and
immediately, obviously.
they did call the authorities, and a statement was made, a long statement from the people of the house stating that the pit bull is completely trained and wasn't let off the leash for a long time and was new to the house and da 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 da. But people
Ah,
are
so
still
they got
upset.
a new dog. Yeah, people think that they shouldn't be able to get new
It
dogs.
was actually a family member's dog that was visiting.
Oh, so it wasn't their
It
dog.
wasn't their dog, but
Okay.
and I said this off air and I'll say it on air. I just feel like people who have a situation like this, they should have like a ban from having, pets. They should just be able to watch them on TV. It should be Lassie and Benji and Cujo and whatever. Ne-
Benji. Shout out to Benji.
R.I.P. But
Benji went over the Rainbow Bridge.
Benji, Old Yella, Benji, they all had to do it. Shaggy Dog,
Oh,
Scooby. Uh,
all right.
we
We're moving into the heist portion of the show.
are we? So tell us about this heist. What happened?
Oh, at Pearson Airport, there was a heist a year ago. The heist was of $20 million worth of golds. And they finally arrested 9 people in connection 1 year later to that gold heist, including jewelry store owners and people that worked for the airlines as well. So it was an entire combination of folks working together to rip off this 20 million in gold. I mean, they might be able to catch me, but I'll tell you what, I don't know if they'll be able to find the gold.
Wow.
You said wow.
But
Melt it down immediately. Get it out of here.
the funny thing about gold is I love gold. You know, so
It's probably heavy.
it's probably heavy. Like gold is gold, right? So, and I'm not talking about that gold plated watch that you got, the other day. We're talking like real gold here. This is
You
a
talking about
gold
my
heist in
specific
Canada.
watch?
No,
I'm just kidding.
gold in Canada
Right.
is something we don't hear a lot about, but there are a lot of places that are buying and trading and selling gold here. That maybe not in my particular circles they're checking about, but it's around. So for these guys to do a heist and they got away with it, it's something. I love heist movies, so these stories are pretty awesome to me.
They're saying that it was also linked with firearms trafficking as well.
Uh-oh.
Eh?
Nope. I'm against that. Let's back it up. Back it up. Back it up.
So that was also a part of it. There was a flight carrying a cargo of 6,600 gold bars landed from Zurich, Switzerland to Pearson Airport just
Okay.
before 4 p.m. on April 17th. In 2023, police said that the shipments, believed to have been stored in a container roughly 5 to 6 square feet, were deposited in Air Canada warehouse at the airport 2 hours later, just before 3 a.m., April 18th. They reported the cargo, which weighed over 400 kilograms and contained gold valued at over 20 million, and over 2 million in foreign currency was also in there, was missing. They didn't even skim any off the top. They actually just took the whole thing.
But
I'm getting this off of City News,
let's
by
think.
the way.
Let's think about this for a second. So this is 2023. This is April 17th. This happened, right? Now on April 19th is what I'm hearing. Just before 3 o'clock. That's in the wee hours. You
Of
can,
the morning, in
if you
less
want to
than
talk
12
about Diddy.
hours.
Diddy said what happens at 3 a.m.
Ooh.
Right? This is what happens. So, and this was in Alberta.
No, this was Pearson, Toronto.
This is Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So we all know this is an inside job. Let's just put it where it is.
Yeah, they
It's an
said that.
inside job.
Yeah,
If it was Alberta, I would have been like, that's them Alberta boys with their dually truck talking about Alberta, baby. And then they just throw that on the truck. Get about 8 boys to jump in that truck, throw it in the back of the pickup, put it in there. It's a good old boys. And they're gone.
Let
But
me
this
tell
was in
you.
Pearson. They ain't driving trucks like that in Pearson. Not like how they do here in Alberta. So that was an inside job. If you ask me, that gold, that case that weighed that amount is still on site. They just switched it to a couple suitcases. You know where your suitcase went missing last year, and nobody found your suitcase. The gold is in your suitcase,
Well,
and they just slid a bunch of bags of suitcases over to the baggage claim side, kept it there for about 7 months, and then came back and wheeled it right out the front door.
well, the real gag in this whole story is
What's the
not
real gag?
even about the heist. My God.
What's the real gag?
The real gag is that the people who paid Air Canada to transport this gold from point A to point B sued Air Canada because they were like, bro, you're supposed to have kept this
You
safe.
promised
This
us.
is 100% your fault. And Air Canada said, well, you can't sue us because we actually didn't take out insurance on this cargo.
Of course they can.
Who wouldn't take out insurance on $220 million worth of gold?
Of course they can. sue you directly. The insurance doesn't cover them;
Oh,
it covers you, Air
yeah,
Canada.
yeah, yeah. You're hung up on that part, but I'm shocked that they didn't take out insurance on this thing.
I'm
To
not.
me,
I'm not. They thought they were impervious. That's when you're sitting there. You're like, "Yo, I got this." And
mm.
you don't take a backup plan.
Speaking of airlines, this is not on our list, but have you seen that there's a new Boeing whistleblower?
No, who's that?
So the last Boeing whistleblower was found died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. We all know what that means.
Can you
So,
tell us what a Boeing whistleblower is?
yeah, so currently Boeing has had a lot of problem with their aircraft, specifically the 737, and now currently he's talking about the Dreamliner.
Okay.
And the aircrafts have been falling apart literally in midair. There's been some social media videos of like a guy and the door flies off of the 737 Max or whatever it is. So that's actually one of the most flown aircrafts. One guy came out and said that they're pushing things and they're not considering safety and they're rushing these protocols to try to get things done in time and they're glazing over the safety protocols. Well, that guy was found uh, unalived of a self inflicted gunshot wound, allegedly. And so, that problem went away and Boeing kept trying to do what it did. Anyway, this other whistleblower came out and said all the Dreamliners should be grounded because there's like some gapping that's too wide in the structural design of it. And because it's too wide, it's like air can get in there and like big pieces of the aircraft can like deconstruct while the aircraft is in air.
Wow. I've seen this before. I watched a documentary about how they took old Boeing 747s and then they just took out all the chairs and just replaced them with smaller chairs, but the same thing. And then the guy's like welding patches where there's like holes
Oh
in the aircraft and
my
he's just
god.
welding a patch over top of it. And then they're smoothing it over,
The thing
wrapping that bad boy like you wrap a car, and back
and
on the
rolling it back
tarmac.
out. The thing that nobody's really talking about is how much money Boeing really gets from the government because Boeing is not a company that's self-sustained. It is a company that gets like
Government fund.
lots and lots and lots
Buku
and lots
dollar.
and lots buku bucks from the government. So for them to be also in this position where they're getting all this money from the government and still not doing their jobs properly, well,
Wild.
anyway, yes, that was off topic, but thank you for going there with me. We have the gold heist. We have endless shrimp. Oh, we have another heist.
The heist, the
This
other heist.
heist was at the LA facility, the Guardia facility. Guardia actually takes a lot of folks' money from different stores and stores it. Anyway, so these criminals, which is Nigel's favorite thing, planned for a whole year and was disrupting the uh the alarms for a year. So after a while the police were like, "Oh, it's these guys again with their alarms." And the last time the alarm went off was just recently during Easter. So people were home with their families, whatever. They're not trying to bother about it. They didn't. But you guys, that was the night of the heist. That was the big heist.
Yeah, apparently these guys tripped the alarm 13 times throughout the whole year. The police came out every single time to check it out. Only one time did they think it was a heist, but then quickly ruled that
No, it
no,
was not a
nothing was
heist.
happening.
Yeah.
It just was tripped by accident due to faulty wiring. Now, the 12 times they checked it out, and like clockwork, people came. These guys picked Easter. Easter, it's short staffed, it's all this stuff. Nobody's leaving their house. Next thing you
No,
know,
that
they
was the
came
night.
in, emptied out the locker. And guess what?
30 mil.
Nobody can find them. 30 mil, they're living large. Here's the funny thing:
30 bills a lot of money to try and figure out what to
is
do with.
anybody missing from work? This is what I'm trying to figure out.
Oh, you can't take no time off.
Come on, detectives. You got to figure out who's taking the time off from work. They're checking bank statements like crazy.
Yeah.
And nobody's moving. And this is where heists always go wrong in the movies.
It's this part because $30
This
million
is the part.
is hard to get rid of. It's a lot of physical money.
It is. It's a lot of physical money. And here's the funny thing. If you are sitting down on $30 million, there's always going to be that one guy that wants a new set of J's.
I knew something.
That wants those new Air Force Ones. That wants the new Prada, the Versace. They want to get it.
I don't know how I'm getting the money out of the country, but I'm leaving the country.
You got to launder that money. It's cash.
Casino. I'm going to the casino and I'm just playing.
You talk about the casino. They watching you at the casino. You can't just come in with your airport job in the high rollers poker game. You can't just go in there and just wax that money. You got to open a laundromat slow and put that into the laundromat and just let it roll.
Not literal laundering of money.
You literally got to do it. Or if you do it, you got to do it like the movie that I watched this week, which was The Accountant with Ben Affleck.
I think about the duck when I think about him.
Yeah. And what he did was he bought the whole strip mall.
So, in America recently...
America, baby.
Oh, I can say this too. R.I.P. to Kyle Marissa Ross, who is a gossip blogger on TikTok who recently passed away. She had a lot of stuff about J-Lo, and then J-Lo deactivated her account and sort of filed all these copyright violations. And anyhow, it's super duper sad. But what we were just talking about, you guys, I lost my train.
Kyle Marissa Ross was unalive.
Yeah. Before that, I was talking about how she was talking about, what were we talking about just before
Ben
that?
Affleck.
We were talking about Ben Affleck.
And he bought a whole strip mall.
Oh, she was talking about how these small beach towns, right? You know how you lived in Miami, so you know what South Beach looked like.
Yep.
That have all these
That's
stores.
a big beach town.
That have all these stores with all this merchandise crammed in there that never sells.
Yes.
Well, apparently that is a big money laundering front. That's all the beach towns, all these stores with all this merchandise.
So they're basically saying all of Miami, all of Fort Lauderdale, all of Florida.
Miami, all of Texas, all of Florida, all of California.
Just Texas has beaches. I haven't seen their beaches. I guess they did because that's how Beyonce got her practice. They must have beaches because Beyonce, Kelly, and Michelle had to run around the beach.
Texas is on the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah,
on the bottom
it's like
side.
right there. Yeah.
So they have beautiful beaches.
They have a beautiful beach. Must be beautiful.
Yeah.
But Florida has all the Delray Beach, and they have like really expensive stores there. You go in there, people look at you like, you want this swimsuit? It's $10,000. Like, get out of here.
That's true.
So you're like, you never buy anything there. So I'm always like, oh, this is for rich people to come to the beach and spend their money.
Yeah, but they have the ones that are just packed full of just
clothes, stuff
nobody buys. Yeah. Anyway, that's for money laundering. How would you launder $30 million? They have $30 million. How would you launder $30 million?
How would I launder $30 million?
Oh, I was asking to the people, but
yeah, put it in the comments how you would launder $30 million.
Don't put it in the comments, you guys. Plead the fifth.
Put it in the comments.
I don't know.
Are you gonna launder? If you're not gonna launder, but you have an idea.
If you're not gonna launder money, but you know how you would do it, put that in there.
Speaking of which, O.J. Simpson had passed away.
Oh, R.I.P. O.J. Simpson.
R.I.P. O.J. Simpson.
I was saying that I felt sad about it, and somebody was like, why? I'm like, well, for me, it's like the end of an era. Do you feel that way, or do you feel like what what Caitlin said? Caitlin said,
Good riddance.
good riddance.
I don't feel either of the things. I know OJ Simpson. I'm old enough to know OJ Simpson as a football player,
As a
not as a
football player.
murderer.
Alleged
I
murderer.
like he was very
He
very
did get off.
good at football. Like really really good at football. And everybody in my school wanted to be some version of OJ Simpson. He was the juice. There was the juice, there was the fridge, and there was
The bus.
I don't remember the bus, but I know the juice, the fridge, and then there's quite a few of them that we wanted to be like, and we used to do all this stuff. So I remember him there. It was when I went to high school that the trial happened while I was in high school. For a lot of people, my whole high school stopped. Like everybody stopped what they're
It's
doing.
true.
This is the first time ever that a actual trial was televised on TV,
Yeah.
and we got to watch it live at our school. It
Yeah.
was crazy. We
It was
barely
I
had
remember
computers.
playing in the school.
We
Yeah.
barely had computers, and it was
It's
playing
true.
on the thing. And when my bad, and this is why I had a great affection for lawyers, because when Johnny Cochran put in that preacher line where he said, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit," that was it. That was it. Everybody, I think every black person celebrated. We came from from Alberta, and all the black people in our school were just laughing and jumping and happy that this guy got off on a potential or alleged murder conviction.
There was a lady on TikTok the other day. I'm so sorry I did not think to remember her handle. But she was like, unpopular take is that um is that OJ's prosecution made a bad case, and OJ's defense did their job and actually defended him and talked about the fact that he OJ actually had some like uh injuries from football that wouldn't have allowed him to actually commit the murder. And she was like going through all the facts of the case. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, about Mark Furman put placing blood on the scene, and then them asking him, like the lead cop on the scene, like, did you plant evidence, and him pleading the fifth on that. Like, I forgot there was, that's why there was all this other stuff that got lost in
That's it.
it. Was he guilty or was he not guilty? There was all this other stuff. And so yeah, she was saying that Johnny Cochran did his job, which was creating reasonable doubt.
That's what he needed to do,
Right.
was create reasonable doubt.
Right.
And the greatest part, because we got to watch the trial, that's why I believe that all the black people were there, because people like Kim Kardashian's father, who was on that team with Johnny Cochran. This is why she has the money she has and was able to grow up in Beverly Hills. This is not why she has the money she has, but this is what started that seed money to get her the money that she has. And her mom helping her push her to that next level. And so when you look at that entire trial, the prosecution felt that because he was black and these two people who died were white, that it was in the bag. So they didn't do their research. They didn't hold up. They didn't think it was going to be televised as much as it was. So they came up with a very shoddy prosecution. And when they came in there, the defense ripped them apart.
Yeah.
And that's what it was.
Okay. Last thing. Red Lobster. We're talking about all these millions.
Red Lobster.
Red Lobster. And maybe this is one of the things these guys can do with their $30 million so the police don't find them.
Right.
But Red Lobster may be going out of business because they've lost $11 million on their endless shrimp campaign.
They lost what? Sorry, say that one more time. That last part there. What'd you just say?
They took an $11 million loss for their endless shrimp campaign.
Yo, I know a bunch of people that went there and put Red
Really?
Lobster out of business.
I be going to River Cree and endlessly eating their shrimp and crabs, and they're still in business. So I do not understand.
Well,
I
I think
guess River Cree is just one location.
River Cree is known for their crab more than their shrimp. Their shrimp is there, but
They
they're
have it
known for their
there.
crab.
Okay.
And there's a whole signs about the crab. But Red Lobster Endless Shrimp is all across Canada and all across the States. And if you know any person that loves shrimp from down south, you know one handful of those biscuits and another handful of those shrimp, they're gonna eat till they're dead.
Trust me.
And they love it. So of course you're gonna lose you would lose $11 million in one night.
Yep.
Depending on what state you're in.
Endless scrimps.
Scrimps.
Anyway, R.I.P. Red Lobster or not, maybe this is part of their whole thing.
Yep. Somebody might bail them out.
Maybe we're low key like advertising endless shrimp for them.
Maybe it's Elon Musk who will come in there and take it out.
Elon Musk.
We'll
Speaking
grab
of
it out.
Elon Musk, just right before we move on, sorry you guys. Apparently the Tesla truck has
Right.
been discontinued.
Uh-oh.
They
Why?
said because it's a terrible vehicle.
Okay. Well.
And it's absolutely
don't guess it.
horrible and ugly. So they're trying to figure that out over at Tesla. Yeah. R.I.P. Tesla truck. What a terrible piece of machine.
Well, Tesla's come out with some really great machines so far that look great. Like I'm watching all these Uber drivers. I saw an Uber driver the other day drive past me, like in a Jetsons.
There's no space in them. I know I'm gonna be one of those guys who's like, the door opens weird, but
yeah.
But I just find that there's no space in the back. I feel like the vehicle should have more room than it does have in it. It's very cramped for me. Additionally, Tesla they came out. There was a lie. Tesla, once you're over 50%, they are 100% lying about how many mileage and how much time you have left on that charge. 100%. Once you drop below 30%, they start telling the truth at that part.
So
50% and 30%.
I started checking out the numbers on it. I started checking it out. And just like your phone says 20, 40%, 30%. But that number can be altered based off of the temperature and the usage of the thing.
Right.
So if you have it in the car and it's mounted next to the vent and you're blowing like hot air on it, it's going to overdrive itself
for sure
and run down the thing.
Correct.
I've had the thing say 10%.
Right.
And then in 2 minutes it said 1%. And I was like, what?
Absolutely.
1%. So I feel like the Tesla's that. And I got a guy that bought a Tesla that actually proved that could be the problem.
Tesla, okay, whatever. It's not that. They literally programmed it into their vehicle that way to make it seem like the Teslas have longer ranges than their counterparts, but they actually don't.
We went over this. I'm
show.
not denying that at all. This
Anywho,
guy came in to try to debunk that online. And he was like, okay, if you go to this charger, but you don't have this charger, you don't get the right trickle charge and this and that. And I was like, okay, whatever, man. Science is science.
You believed Elon Musk, the grifter that he is. Anyway.
3 words.
Anyway.
Yeah.
We are moving on to the
screen. And that's where we're at.
Be nice to me.
I'm here with you the whole time, week after week, at the same time. I am nice. I don't say anything. Wild. So here we are.
What are you watching?
On the screen, there are 2 shows that came up on my docket. First of all, The Accountant. Watch Ben Affleck and the accountant, and I watch how they glorify the autistic, high functioning person, and showed like how he has problems with relationships and talking to people, versus how he doesn't have any problems calculating and getting things going. So, and they even showed a person in the show that may have had a love interest for him
Mm-hmm.
at the time. And it was pretty good because I liked the math behind everything that he was doing. But then when they showed him to be this cutthroat, cold-blooded killer that
Murderer.
calculated how he's gonna kill everybody in a certain fashion, and he could fight, I was like, "Oh, this is Batman." And then they were like, "Actually, this is Batman," and they made him Batman based off of the movie
Right
The
in front of
Accountant.
your eyes.
Right in front. Right in front. I was like, wait a minute, this is Batman. And I know the people who were watching that were like, yo, this is Batman. And that's how he got the role. The scowl, the way how he fought, it was amazing.
When you said that, I thought you were kidding. I thought you were serious, but you were kidding.
No, just now?
No, before you were like, "Oh, now I see how he got the role of Batman. He got it because people were watching this movie." But I realized you were kidding when you said that.
I wasn't kidding, no.
But you weren't saying it like actual legitimate fact.
No, it's facts.
Oh, it is fact. Okay.
It is actual facts. That's a fact. They looked at the scowl on his face throughout the whole movie, and they were like, he would look good in a mask. And they were like, this is Batman. But I hadn't watched the movie. I only saw the clips. So now that I watched the movie, I was like, oh, he even fights and stuff like Batman in there.
Okay.
The second thing is Marvel's X-Men 97. Now, if you are not caught up with X-Men 97, spoiler alert, here we go. X-Men 97 is the truth. Like, one of the writers on there is a black writer. He's been coming out and talking about what he's doing with the show and how he's doing with the show. He's fantastic. This is why he's on the Black Multiverse today. And honestly, you may not be ready, but if you've ever watched X-Men before and you are worried about death and gruesome and this and that, then you have not watched X-Men over the years. Barely anybody dies. They always come back to life. Like, there's a lot of people. There may be some people in this round that aren't coming back, but we don't know who they are yet. So be aware and be cautious that death and despair are in the future for the X-Men.
That was so dramatic.
That's what it is. What do you got on the screen?
Well, I watched this show called Alex Rider that you want me to talk about, but really, Alex Rider, I'm not going to talk too much about it. I'm just going to tell you my takes on it. He's a child spy, and he has a very British handsome face, which means his eyes smile downward, or frown, if you're that kind of person. And watching children decide that they're going to be like spies and doing all of these things that they're like absolutely not supposed to be doing is hilarious. And additionally, like smashing people in the head and going all kinds of places that they're not supposed to go. So Alex Rider is definitely, if you like Spy Kids, this is like a grown-up version of Spy Kids, but like a few notches under James Bond. Maybe in the like Kingsman archetype or genre of like pubescent teenage boys.
Yeah, Spy Kids
Being
is more
important.
kids, like 10-year-old, 8-year-old.
Yeah, I said a step
kid.
above. I said if you like Spy Kids, this
Alex
is like a
Rider.
step of that.
Alex Rider's like 17, 16. He's
So
in
it's like
that
the
range.
Kingsman.
Very much like how they recruited Kingsman, but even he was finished high school.
Oh, I don't know. They all look so young to me now.
These kids are in high school. Like Alex Rider is currently in high school.
So it's anyway, it's high school James Bond.
Yeah.
For the kids.
So if you don't know about Alex Rider, you'll know that he was played by I think it was the guy who did Malcolm in the Middle. Um, who we find out now, I was like, whatever happened to that kid from Malcolm in the Middle? And we found out that that kid has a problem with memory, short-term memory loss.
Oh
He
yeah.
suffers from short-term memory loss.
He's a full grown man now though.
Well, to me, he's always a kid. I'm that guy.
He'll always be
I'm
Malcolm.
that guy. I'm like, hey, kid, because he never grew, and he
Oh
doesn't
no,
have
he
much
never
facial
grew.
hair. So, and he has short-term memory. So they're not putting him back
Uh
on movies anytime soon.
anything you've been listening to lately? What's in your ears?
In my ears, wow, I have been listening um, to Corey Henry, and I've also been listening to Lucky Day. Lucky Day just came out with a new song, and it is great. It is a great song. I'm starting to listen to more vocally challenging people. So, for instance, Jay Moss, if you know anything about um, the singer and performer and artist and producer Jay Moss, he's always used autotune in his tracks, but in this this particular scenario, he doesn't. But he still does all the moves with his voice, and that's epic because he uses autotune so much. You tend to think he can't sing, very much like T Pain. A
Oh,
lot of
but
people thought T Pain can't sing because he used autotune. J Moss uses it so much, his voice sounds like a robot. It's like he always does this high trills. But in this particular circumstance, if you're listening to him, he just came out with a video on TikTok, and he's like amazing with his voice, his vocal prowess. What are you listening to?
I'm re-listening to some Missy Elliott and Sierra and some Timbaland. These people are going on tour. Tour tickets are already selling. They only have one Canadian stop, which is in Vancouver. I would love, love, love to go. Missy's never actually headlined her own tour before, so this is actually the first tour that she's headlining as well. So yeah, that's it.
No, yeah, okay, but you bop.
Bop bop and do bop, but not man boom. Now we're gonna move on. Were you gonna say something?
No, I was just waiting for you to say what we're moving on to.
We're gonna move on to the final portion of the show.
The word, which
The word,
your
yeah.
turn to give us a word. What's your word for today?
Ooh, is it my turn? Okay, so my word today is that help is not coming. That is my word today. What does that mean? I think there's a lot of us who were expecting to like bloom in a certain way and achieve in a certain way that we had worked towards, that because of COVID that expectation never matured. So for a lot of people, 2020 was our year. It was the year that we were going to break out. It was the year that we were going to bust. It was the year that a lot of these things were going to happen. So what we found now is that we are on the other side of that false maturity. It didn't quite mature, but time keeps moving forward. So we can't quite capture that time back again. And now we're in a place where it is time to elevate. It's time to elevate our processes, elevate what we're doing. Um, Elevating might be mentoring, elevating might be teaching, elevating might be expanding from the space that you're in. And because we never quite had that maturing period, we're sitting with ourselves and feeling like, oh, if only I had somebody to explain this to me. If only I had somebody to do that for me. If only I had a partner to help me with this. If only I had. And that, if only I had, almost keeps us from achieving what we need to achieve because it stops us from doing the things because we assume there's a missing piece in there. So once you realize the help is not coming, you are what you have. You are the expert. You are the expertise. You are the help. It's you. And so that allows you to like stand stronger in who you are, Believe in the time that you've put into the work and the specialty or the specialization that you've done. Believe in your own knowledge. And yeah, just that's it. Help is not coming. You have to do those. There's things that we want other people to do for us that we really have to do for ourselves. That's it.
You are the Calvary. You are the help. You
Mhm.
are the shoulder. So you got to
You
be
know
there.
best.
Yeah,
Nobody knows better than you.
that's it.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the
Black
Black
Multiverse
Multiverse
Theory
Theory podcast.
podcast.
We will see you again next week. Same bad time,
Same bad
same
time.
bad channel.
Yep.
Good night.
Good night, y'all.